Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Z, and this is Chit Chat Wednesday. Chit Chat Wednesday is a monthly discussion that I will be hosting with special guests to help me discuss and answer questions about common challenges and issues that we see in our everyday life. Today, we will be discussing all things mental health, and I am so excited to be joined by Nicole Hunter, licensed professional counselor and founder of Healing Hearts Counseling and Consulting Agency. So, with that being said, let's chit chat. Hello, and thank you for joining us for this month's session of Chit Chat Wednesday. I am here with Nicole Hunter, licensed professional counselor. She's also a certified clinical trauma practitioner and the founder of Healing Hearts Counseling and Consulting Agency. I am so excited to be able to collaborate with Nicole. Nicole and I have been working together on different projects for a while now. And today we are going to have a discussion about self care and talk about mental health. It's something that we hear about a lot, especially since the start of the pandemic. So we're just going to have a casual conversation talking about mental health. Nicole is going to debunk some of those myths that we have been listening to and holding on to that may have prevented us from getting the proper mental health care and supports. So, to get started, Nicole, tell us a little bit about Healing Hearts Counseling and Consulting Agency.
Oh, okay. Thanks for having me too, Zipporah. I'm excited to be here with you guys. So, Healing Hearts Counseling and Consulting Agency actually was birthed about a couple months ago, um, but it came from a long dream of me wanting to help others and to be able to have my own practice where I was able to serve people who were experiencing mental health illness and or just difficult times in their lives that they
Mhm.
wanted to talk to someone about. Currently, Healing Hearts is an organization that sees a wide, diverse population from children to adults. And we are really interested in serving those who are wanting to get some help and meeting them where they are. Because at Healing Hearts, we believe that creatively caring for everyone is a necessity.
That is awesome, and congratulations. I'm excited that you got Healing Hearts off the ground, and really look forward to us collaborating more. So to get started, we have, especially this past year with being in the pandemic, we've been hearing a lot about mental health. So can you explain to us exactly what mental health is?
Sure. Mental health is really a combination of the way that we take care of ourselves. When I say take care of ourselves, I'm talking about the emotional side of ourselves, as well as a combination of the how we manage the stress in our lives. Okay. So when you think about mental health, really, we all experience mental health on a daily basis. You
Mm-hmm.
frustrated, you get stressed, you get worried, that anxiety and depression, or that low mood you feel when something doesn't turn out right. Mental health is all of those responses, that we have to the day to day stressful situations, be them sporadic or things that we are encountering normally, like work. And that response kind of comes together to culminate our our mental emotional wellness. And I feel like a lot of times we think of mental health and we think something negative, like we think like, oh, it's this bad thing, to think of. But really we all have a mental emotional side of ourselves that we have to take care of and that we do that sometimes subconsciously but also consciously.
Mm-hmm.
And
So I heard you in that definition, you mentioned basically like the way we respond um, to different things in our life. So of course, as you know, like the pandemic, it and all these other issues that we see and hear about every single day, it's definitely taken a toll on our mental health. And we're starting to hear more. I think in the past, it was kind of taboo to say that you were going to therapy or you were getting medication. I feel like from what I'm seeing, that's starting to change, right? I feel like people are becoming more open, um, and sharing their experiences and advocating for people to get supports. Um, but then for other, like, it's, where do you begin with that? You know, like, how do you get to the point where it's like, I need a therapist? Is it, do you need to wait till the point where you feel like you're really struggling, or should you have a therapist as part of your daily life? Like, how do we take care of our mental health?
So wow, there's so you're absolutely right. Like there's that is that big question of like when when is it time for me to go seek professional help, right? And I think that differs for everyone.
Uh-huh.
One thing I will say, yeah, we have gotten so much better with the stigma of mental health, but we can still do better.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, having someone, a therapist to talk to, you can do that at any time. Anytime. You don't have to wait till you get to this like debilitating moment to go
Uh-huh.
help. I know that's often what happens, but really we can start now. And actually, starting now, it helps you to protect yourself from getting to that crash or that debilitating space where you feel like, basically your life is unmanageable and that you have no hope. Um, However, so thinking about when and how, like a lot of times mental health support can look like a wide range of things. Some of this is can be self-care. Okay, so let's start with what one. Self-care. That is one thing that you can do to protect your mental emotional state so that you don't get to a place where you are crashing.
Uh-huh.
But if you feel like you're doing things on your own, and a lot of times we do, and we do them kind of like unknowing, like, when you have that bad day at work and you call your girlfriend and you talk to them about that bad day, technically you are actually getting some therapy at that moment, okay? You know, getting some therapy. Those things that you do, those are wonderful, like, things that we all do to take care of ourselves and to kind of release the stress. But when you want to think about, is it something that I need? Like, so going from the just good to have, because everyone can benefit. And
Uh-huh.
a little quick secret, if those of you don't know, most therapists have their own therapist, okay? Like, it's like we all, to stay well, take care of ourselves. So most therapists have their own therapist so that they can stay well for their clients. And because we know that life sometimes hands us lemons. And in
Uh-huh.
order to make lemonade, we might need some additional resources, support, and help. And so we seek those things out from others.
Uh-huh.
Now, however, if you've tried things, if you've tried self-care tactics, if you've talked to your girlfriend, if you've done some things on your own and you are still struggling, and by struggling, I mean your life, when you look at your personal life, your work life, if you're in school, your school life, if your relationships with others, your social connections, if things are starting to become unmanageable, difficult, there's no more joy in any of those arenas, and you're having a hard time functioning, just from on a day-to-day basis.
Uh-huh.
And what I mean by functioning, that's, for example, you're not waking up to go to work on time. Your
Yeah.
boss told you they're about to fire you because you are not showing up, your performance is declining, and they're trying to work with you. They've given you all this like grace, but they're at their point where they need to hold you accountable, and you may lose your job because of it. When you are in a relationship and everything was great and you don't understand why all of a sudden there's problems, in the relationship. You guys are not connecting, or you don't even have the desire to be around them. That's a sign that, there may be something more that you need to go do so that you can get help within, that arena, so that your mental health is protected. You are seeking support so that way, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, all of it is encompassing that mental health piece. And so when those things start to kind of, I guess, decline, then
Uh-huh.
you need help. And most often, people who definitely need to get help, they're seeing it not just in one area. It's happening in multiple areas. And one area I forgot to mention was the financial area too. Like, a lot of times when we struggle with finances, and that could be a lot of things. It's not always that you're living paycheck to paycheck. It could be that you started gambling, and now, you're gambling and gambling and gambling, and you're not being a steward of your finances. But you're continuing to do it because you like that, the way it makes you feel in that moment. But you're overlooking the way it's impacting your finances, and how that impact has affected your emotional state. And sometimes those things just continue to kind of compound upon each other.
You explain like it's something that you should take into consideration every day and not just, like cliche, like what we see in TV and stuff, where you have that breakdown and then seek. So it sounds like it's a good idea to kind of set this up as a, and tap into it daily. So for this actual discussion, we were talking or intend to talk to parents and caregivers. And I feel like that was helpful to hear, because I know as a parent and as a special needs parent, I put everything before myself. And full disclosure, there are times where I carry everything and then it becomes so much that I notice that it is harder to get out of bed. Um, it is harder to show that excitement for things that I usually do. And then I have to kind of reassess and make sure that I'm boosting up like the self care and having those different outlets. One thing that I am trying to be more purposeful is teaching my children about mental health and their self care. Um, and I don't know why, like the whole topic always seems so big or, you know, challenging. So, what are some suggestions that you can share with parents and caregivers about having those conversations early and teaching these different techniques and stuff early?
Oh yeah, I mean, actually, you can start as early as like kindergarten. When they're able to talk and hear and understand what you're talking to them about, is as simple as even positive affirmations. I think that, what, and honestly, because I know the work that I've done with some of the schools in the area as well, that social emotional concept has been so huge, and that we're realizing that social emotional awareness needs to start as early as possible, and
Mhm.
that it's never too early. And so I think it's super important to start building that with them. And as simple as maybe speaking positive words, positive self-talk. A lot of times, and I don't know if parents recognize this, and I know children don't, but we have like a running tape of things in our mind that we say to ourselves
Hmm.
throughout the whole day. And when kids start thinking negatively about themselves or about their ability to do something, um, whether it's academic or non, it impacts their mental health. It impacts the way they feel about themselves, which then starts to create this negative perception of who they are. And it can spiral as they continue to grow and develop. So my suggestion would be to first start with showing them, modeling for them the best way that you take care of yourself, whether it's you start your day by reading a book or reading a devotional, whether it is you start your day with a morning walk,
Mm-hmm.
um, whether it is that you start your day with some quiet time of meditation or mindfulness. Um, and again, positive affirmations, speaking positivity into yourself and into them. It is so helpful. Modeling these things from the start helps
Mm-hmm.
them see what a well like a wellness person looks like, what it means to be like holistically well in terms of your spiritual self, emotional self, mental, physical, financial, social, all of those components. I mean, those are things that I think help them to be able to, as little people, be well as well, and develop empathy for themselves and for others. Um, I know you were saying like things that you can do with your little ones. I feel like talking to them about mental health, we don't have to always use the word mental health with them, but especially depending upon their age. But I think, you want to break it down in a word that they can understand and that they would be able to recognize. So for little ones who are, I would say, younger than 8, 9, that age, anywhere 10 and below, to be honest, I feel like you want to talk about their emotional wellness. You want to use that word emotions because we often ask them how they feel anyway, and so
Yeah.
they're starting to get that connection between their emotions, and so talking about their emotional wellness is important and how they feel on the inside and outside, because there are things that honestly our body starts to do when
Mm-hmm.
specific emotions, and cluing them into that and cluing yourself into that is helpful. One of the things I like to talk to my students about, or even my clients about, is when they are feeling emotions, getting them to identify where in their body they feel it. What what does that feel like when you are happy? What part is feeling the happiness? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we even use colors to describe what that feeling may look like. Again, you want to really think about getting to their level, and when you're talking to littles, you want to use things like that feeling of describing their body part or the color, or even having them act it out. Like they love to be performers for us anyway, so they can show you what that feels like. I encourage you to do those things with them, because the more they become aware of their own emotions, the better they will be able to be um, integrating things like coping skills and strategies, as well as regulating their emotions when those big things happen. Because we have little people that sometimes big things happen to, and if they're not really used to dealing with the recognition of their emotions, they may have a harder time managing and regulating those emotions during those big events that may occur in their life that cause stress and or trauma.
Mm-hmm. So, talking about, we said we're going to cover some of the myths.
Mm-hmm.
One of the myths is that to have good mental health, it means basically like you don't have the negative feelings, or you don't let them, like, they don't affect you. So if instead of getting upset, you're very zen and everything just rolls off of you. So is that an accurate description of a good mental health?
No, ma'am, not at all. Because we have feelings. You
Yeah.
know, you're not we're not like Stepford people. We're not robots. So we are going to respond to things, and sometimes things are going to jar us. And the thing that makes it, I guess, more of a crisis, or a negative stigma about it, is that when that when that person is not able to respond in a more positive way towards it, in the sense, and when I say positive, I don't mean like, oh, I'm so happy that this person just yelled at me and hurt my feelings. No, I mean that we're able to positively respond in the sense of saying, that really hurt my feelings.
Mhm.
Recognizing that positive response is the ability to recognize, my feelings have been hurt because they yelled at me. I feel pretty sad right now that they yelled, and a little bit nervous about our relationship. So being able to really that positive expression of what you're feeling, in terms of identifying and speaking it out, saying it. So not just holding it in, but identifying it, naming it, and that way you can tame it. And that's a from my one of my favorite guys in the biz, Mr. Dan Siegel. He
Mhm.
always talks about, with regulating our emotions, we have to name it to tame it, and that's a positive response to the trauma, the stress, that thing that's creating the crisis within. Um, yeah, no one, no one is zen all the time, and this is
Yeah.
someone who has been known to be a pretty happy-go-lucky, sunshiny day type girl. We all have moments where we just feel a little bit low, or we feel a little anxious, worried. We all have those moments, and those are normal emotional responses to things, whether it's, oh my gosh, taking a test, whether it's your driver's test, or a big test for school, whether it's getting ready to ask the girl out on a date, or your first date. It's these responses we have, they don't make it that you're not normal, or that you're negatively um, exhibiting mental health symptoms, just because you feel disappointed, and maybe you are a little depressed right now because something that you were expecting to happen that would have been great for you did not happen. We don't think about, when people are become disappointed in things, that oh, they're now having a mental health. No, this is normal. So it's okay to not be happy all the time.
Yeah.
It's just more so about how you then move through that emotion. Are you allowing that to take over? Are you allowing the event that triggered your emotional response to debilitate you, or to control how you then go forward throughout not just that day, but even the rest of your days, your life?
Okay. Okay. And then I know earlier when you were talking about putting in some of those different strategies in your day to help you, with the mental health, and you mentioned meditation. And again, meditation is something we hear a lot,
Mhm.
but not many really know and understand, like, what is meditation? What is the purpose of it? Um, I think a lot of us base on what we see, in TV.
Mhm.
So what exactly is meditation? Do you have to, um, be on the floor and legs crossed position? Like, is that the only way to meditate? How do you do it?
So first, just to be clear, there's a lot of course, talk about this now, right? It's become more prevalent in our society. And so there's two words that have become kind of buzzy. One is meditation, which has kind of been around for a long time, right? And then we have mindfulness. Now,
Mm-hmm.
they, in some respects, they look a little similar.
Mm-hmm.
And they would probably think that mindfulness and meditation are the same, and they are a little bit different. One thing is that with meditation is usually more so from being done from a spiritual perspective.
Okay.
Those meditating are wanting to in Now they're wanting to have a spiritual connection towards their uh, time away, like their mental break from what's happening around. Because both mindfulness and meditation do kind of encourage that, like closing yourself off from the world, kind of not being focused on what's happening in the world. Like, so you're not focused on the sounds in the kitchen or the person honking the horn. You're kind of trying to block those things out, right?
Right.
Meditation and mindfulness. And the goal is to be able to, for meditation, have a spiritual connection, a spiritual awakening that kind of you can bring forth to your mind, and you can then pursue that in a deep
Mm-hmm.
and connect deeper in that level. Mindfulness is the notion that you are actually becoming more aware of the present, your present moment, um, and in the present moment of like it could be as far as how you feel, like how what is your body feeling. It could be the presence of your breath, um, or even being mindful of what you're eating. So it's being present in whatever moment you're in.
Okay.
So that can change. And so with mindfulness, some people do sit crisscross and on the floor, but you don't have to do mindfulness on the floor. You can sit in your chair, you can lay down. You know, a lot of times it is encouraged for you to be in a comfortable state,
Mm-hmm.
comfortable state, so that you can sort of bring your mind's attention to the present moment and be
Okay.
focused only in that moment. Um, so that's one of the differences with mindfulness. And the main, like the birthing of mindfulness was focused on the breath, like being able to use your breath work to be present in moment and also calming yourself. So a lot of people use mindfulness to relieve stress, to also kind of manage their emotions if they're starting to feel themselves becoming, um, I guess, too angry or too excitable, too anxious. They will use it to help release some of that emotion that they're feeling and become more in tune with what's presently going on. And then they can respond in a more positive way to the trigger, what's causing those big emotions within them.
Okay. So it's definitely something that sounds like it can kind of help you again, like relieve stress and clear your head to be able to better see your path. But time, I don't have a lot of time. So what is, like, how long should you be doing this? Especially for those of us parents and business owners and students, and everybody wears many, 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 many hats nowadays. So how can we squeeze this into our daily routine? How long should we be dedicating to this?
I would say as long as you feel like you have. So, you can do mindfulness in a minute. You
Hmm.
can take a minute and be mindful. And be able to, in that moment, if you only have that minute, choosing to focus solely on the present. So, and what I mean by the present, this is not, that means that we're not sitting here thinking about what we're going to do when we go home, what we're going to cook for dinner. Oh, and I have to stop at the grocery store and grab some bread and some milk. And and I got soccer practice. Oh, so and so's got soccer practice, so I got to wash their uniform. We're not doing that list of things. We're really, this is that time to be able to shut kind of down, shut off
Hmm.
that our brain, and just allow ourselves to be in this moment and allow ourselves to focus on something other than the list of things that we do, or the things that are causing turmoil in our lives. And so you can do it for a minute, and be just focusing on your breath for that 1 minute. You can do it for 5 minutes. It's really what is most convenient to you, and I would say what you feel is one convenient,
Hmm.
what you're going to be able to do consistently. So if you're going to put something like this into practice as a way of implementing some self-care so that you can de-stress, then I would say you want it to be something that you can do consistently and that you are willing to take the time to do. So even though mindfulness is something that is very popular right now, if this is not something you're willing to try to do and do it consistently, then I would say maybe let's think of something else. Perhaps positive affirmations for a minute would be better for you, or maybe you're a person that would be benefit from just a quick walk around the block, or you know, some time in journal writing, just writing, and being at peace with your words. So my encouragement would be to do whatever you're going to be able to do consistently and with a lot of efficacy.
And then I like, what you suggested sounds like activities that anybody can really access and access no matter what budget. Because I think we hear a lot about self care. Self care is another buzzword lately. Um, and again, when we hear self care, a lot of times what's um, described are activities that can be costly, like getting a massage or, checking into. I know I'm a parent of four, and I've heard, oh, you need to have some you time. You should just get a room for the weekend. And I'm like, you know how much work goes into getting away for the weekend by myself. So what are some other self-care strategies that you suggest that doesn't break the bank? And then again, with time, can kind of be done in a shorter amount of time or can vary according to the person's daily schedule.
Okay. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. A lot of us tend to go for the massage and nails and
Yeah.
all of those things. And although those are wonderful things, sometimes there are other things that we can try and things that we probably need to do more than
Hmm.
those things because that's our normal go-to.
Right.
That's something that we want to do because it's like, oh, I need to go get my nails done or I want to feel good and look pretty. And so you do those things. But I would say thinking outside the box, okay? Again, it can be very simple. It can be as simple as maybe you just take a nap.
Mm.
Gave yourself, you know, a 15-20 minute nap. A nap can do so much for you because a lot of times, as those of us who are parents and caregivers, mental health professionals, anyone who's caring in some way for someone else, you are giving a lot of yourself. And I bet you are not getting enough sleep at night.
Never.
So, one thing I would say is taking a nap. Take a nap. If you have 15 minutes in your day, um, I know even to be honest, and you can be creative. I recall one time I had about an hour lunch break, but I wasn't quite hungry, but I was tired. So
Yeah.
I turned the lights down, I put my timer on, and I gave myself 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, you'd be surprised when you're tired like that, your body will shut down and it'll let you know, yeah, we need this.
Yeah.
That 20 minutes really, it wasn't, of course, all that I wanted that day, but it was enough to just kind of give me that refreshing feeling that I needed. So I
Hmm.
would say, giving yourself a nap. I would also encourage you to try things like we talk about journaling. I'm going to talk about positive affirmations a little bit because there are a couple ways you can do this. One way is you can say words of positive self-talk to yourself, like by looking in the mirror. So like looking and literally saying, I'm amazing. I'm smart. I am deserving of love. And these are things that you can say. And I would say you can choose maybe 2 to 3 that you repeat every day for a
Hmm.
short period of time. And maybe it's something that you do right before you leave for work or as soon as you get up in the morning. And that's not going to take a lot of time. Another way to do this is to create possibly sticky notes with some positive affirmations and placing them in places that you would see throughout your day, and you know that you'll need them the most. So one thing to do is maybe in your lunchbox, on top of your Tupperware, you put a sticky note there with something just to help get you through the day. Another would be maybe something in your car or on the door, the back of the door. So when you come home, you see it when you close that door. So that's something that I would encourage. This is also something you can do for your kids, and I bet you do this for your kids, and you don't even realize how amazing it is. But
Yeah.
that little note in their lunchbox, that is self care for them right there. You are brightening up their day and you had no idea. So keep doing that. Those little notes, you've got this. That little encouragement is all that is needed to kind of push you forward. Another thing that you can do is actually, and this may be hard for some of you,
Uh-huh.
I would say set boundaries for when you are working and when you're not.
That one is tough.
It is tough. And so, and as a parent and caregiver, setting boundaries for yourself, like, of course, you do need that me time, right? So being able to say, well, I'm going to give myself 20 minutes today, or one day out of the month that I spend giving and caring for my loved ones. I'm going to take that day, and maybe that's going to be a day that I go and do something for me, whether it's you get to go see a movie by yourself, whether it's you are, you're going to that store that you've been wanting to go to for the longest time, you're exploring going to a park, whatever it is, you just devote that day to you. And I'm not saying that the entire day, because I
Right.
understand parents and caregivers, but you make sure that on that day specifically, you are choosing something for you. Maybe this is the day that you say, you know what, this is mommy's night of not cooking today.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you know,
Yeah.
you you select that day, because again, I feel like as caregivers, you're often always on, right?
Yeah.
Always on. And
It's
so
the
when
one job you never clock out from.
exactly. And when you're always on, you're not able to give to you. But that is very essential in order for you to keep giving and giving to those you love, to those lovely little ones that are in your house, or the big one too,
Yeah.
or to those loving parents that you're now taking care of,
Mhm.
whoever and whatever it is. In order for you to continue to go, you've got to also give back to you. So even if it's that one day where you're like, oh, I need to stop and do something for me today, because I promise you, we 1 month is probably even like a hard pass for you, like where you're like, I don't know if I can do that. So at least
Right.
that 1 month where just one thing, I'm not saying every week, but just remind yourself every month that, so I need to do something for me this month. What is that thing going to be? Giving yourself, even making it a plan to plan
Yeah.
for that thing. Um, I guess the other thing that I would just say, and I said about cutting off work, because for me, I have actually learned, and I know that you guys learned that I am a counselor, but I was also a former teacher, and I learned that, in both of these professions, it is very easy to bring that work home. It is
Hmm.
easy to keep working past that time when I'm supposed to clock out, right? And so I have learned that it is important for me to set that boundary of, okay, I realize that as a small business owner, I may have to work longer than I want to. It's not just about when I see my clients and I'm done,
Hmm.
but there has to be a cutoff, because at some point I need to stop working and start giving back to me. So when is that going to be? So I would encourage you to have a time. I even things like, leaving certain things at work. Like if you have a work computer, leave the work computer at work. so that on Friday you come home, okay, it's done,
Mhm.
And if you are feeling like you have to stay late, making again, setting a realistic boundary, an expectation that, okay, if I have to stay late, I stay late, but I don't stay later, any later than this particular time. Maybe for you, it might be 6 p.m. Maybe for another person, it might be 3 p.m. But whatever that time is for you, that you have a cutoff and you say, okay, I stayed to the time that I had agreed upon, and now it's time for me to go and give to me. Or and that in itself, that ability to cut off and set that expectation for yourself is in itself an act of self-care.
Hmm. Does self-care have to be done by yourself? Because I'm just thinking about like you talking about going for the walk. And sometimes I might want to bring one of my kids with me for the walk. Is that still considered self-care, or is it do you have to spend that time alone even if you like the people you live with?
No, not at all. I mean, because you think about even those of us who maybe go to the gym, you go to the gym and you're working out, you're not necessarily working out alone all the time, or when you're going to see that personal trainer. So I would say you can, it is okay to incorporate others in your self-care routine or activity, as long as you are wanting to include them, and that
Right.
it's not imposing upon your ability to feel relaxed, refreshed, and again maintaining that sense of peace and emotional wellness that doing those activities are going to bring.
Okay. And then as we wrap up, what are some resources that you recommend most?
Okay. So definitely one of the things I will encourage you to do first is always check, the back of your insurance. There's a number you can call to get a list of providers in your area. I do encourage you to do that first, so that way you know who is connected with your insurance. That's good. Second, I would encourage you to also go on. There's Psychology Today. You can
Mm-hmm.
a wide range of mental health providers, from psychiatrists to therapists to play therapists. There's a wide range of actual mental health providers. So I would encourage you to go to psychologytoday.com, as well as Therapy for Black Girls. Therapy for Black Girls is a website that was created by a Black therapist. And in this website, there are several therapists who are actually of color, who have listed themselves with information about what they work on with others on, if they work with children, adults, if families, if they are licensed counselors or social workers. And so there's a wide variety of people of color
Mm-hmm.
with Therapy for Black Girls. And I also would encourage you to go to your local CSB or mental health agency. A lot of times they have a lot of resources there too, and can provide them at a lower cost than other private places. So if you are in this Richmond, Virginia area, some places that you can go to would be RBHA, which is Richmond Behavioral Health Authority, the Michael Mental Health, as well as the CSB 19, District 19, which is serving the more like Petersburg, Colonial Heights area, and of course Chesterfield Mental Health. So you
Okay.
look into those local CSBs, because again, if you're feeling like you're having some difficulty with payment, or maybe you don't have a commercial health insurance, that is I would say a good starting point, because they will be able to work with you and help direct you, and possibly even get you some resources to get some sort of health plan, whether it's Medicaid based or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we see different apps and stuff. Are there any that you really like and would like to share with us?
Yeah, actually. So calm.com is an app that I've used, and I've used that with some children as well. And
Okay.
there is another one called iChill that I like as well. And I believe there's one more. Oh, yeah. Headspace.
Oh yeah, I do like Headspace. Yeah.
Heads and Mind Shift.
Okay.
So
What was the last one?
Mind Shift.
Mind Shift. Okay.
And then if you are for those of you lovely parents who have children who love slime,
Uh,
but maybe you don't love the slime so much, there's
yeah.
a app called Super Slime Simulator. So
Okay.
be something to explore
Yeah.
for them to do. Because
Yeah.
of course, slime, that's something that for some of those tactile um, pieces that they're trying to soothe, they use it for that reason, and or to also regulate emotion, just kind of shift their thinking from something. So maybe if you're not wanting them to have too much more slime in the house, you can try the Super Slime Simulator as
Yeah.
well.
Because I will let you know that slime does not wash out of comforters. Ask me how I know.
I know.
So I'll be taking a look at the app because that lesson learned with that one. Well, on that note, I thank you for taking the time to collaborate with me for another project. I think you shared a lot of great information and really helped us all with better understanding mental health and self care and the difference between meditation and mindfulness, because I didn't really recognize that it was so many overlapping similarities, but then the distinct differences. So I appreciate that too. And for our viewers, if you have any questions that you would like to ask Nicole or even myself, please post it in the comments below and we will get back and answer any questions you may have. You can also visit our website at creativeapproachonline.com. And in the description, I will post Nicole's contact information. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button because again, Chit Chat Wednesdays occurs every month on the fourth Wednesday of the month. We will be posting new videos focused on a wide variety of content and questions and different challenges that we experience in our daily lives. So thanks for watching and see you next month for Chit Chat Wednesdays.